My father, CEO Robert Mitchell, stood before my entire team in the Silicon Valley boardroom and pointed at me. He wasn't talking, he was condemning me. "Who let this incompetent fool in here?" he sneered, and my world cracked. His voice, sharp as a blade, sliced through the room's sterile air. Every eye turned, pinning me like a bug under glass. He believed his authority could bury my truth. He was wrong. The silence he forced would ignite my fight for justice. I'm Sarah Mitchell, a 35-year-old cybersecurity expert. That moment in the boardroom wasn't just humiliation, it was a declaration of war. My father thought he could erase me, but I'd uncover his lies and prove my worth. Have you ever been betrayed by family, yet found strength to fight back? Share your story in the comments and subscribe to Chosen Revenge for more tales of resilience and truth. The glass doors of the boardroom hissed shut behind me, sealing in the silence. It wasn't empty silence. It was heavy, like the air before a storm. My team's eyes locked onto me, not with respect, but with the cold curiosity of wolves circling prey. Whispers slithered through the room. "That's her, Robert Mitchell's daughter, the one who tanked the Sentinel firewall." Each word stung, a dart dipped in venom. My spine stiffened, my jaw locked, but inside I was unraveling. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and at 35, I'd built a career in cybersecurity that could have made any father proud, but not mine. Robert Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Dynamics, stood at the head of the room, his tailored suit as sharp as his contempt. The massive screen behind him glowed with red alerts, screaming about the Sentinel system's failure, a data breach that exposed sensitive client records. He didn't look at me, not at first. He let me stand there, drowning in the team's judgment for exactly 12 seconds. I counted. Then he turned, his gray eyes scanning me like I was a bug in his code. His lips curled into a smirk, and he laughed, a cold, calculated sound that hit like a punch. It wasn't amusement. It was a weapon designed to strip me bare in front of every coder, every analyst, every person I'd led. The laughter bounced off the glass walls, a public execution of my reputation. "Who let this incompetent fool in here?" he said again, his voice low, each word a hammer. He didn't use my name, just fool. 15 years of coding, of outsmarting hackers, reduced to one syllable. Beside him, Thomas Harper, his hand-picked chief tech officer, grinned like he just won a prize. He was in on it, basking in my humiliation. My knees shook, but I held my ground. Then the doors slid open. Dr. Laura Bennett, a cybersecurity director from a federal agency, walked in. Petite, with salt and pepper hair in a tight bun, she carried an authority that silenced the room. She didn't glance at anyone else, just marched straight to my father. "Actually, Mr. Mitchell," she said, her voice sharp as a blade, "I invited the system's original architect." She stared him down. "Your breach is my problem now, and I don't tolerate theatrics." The room froze. My father's smirk faded, his face paling. For the first time that day, I breathed. That laughter, it wasn't new. It dragged me back 15 years to a tech conference in San Francisco. I was 20, a college junior, standing on a stage with a prototype encryption algorithm I'd built in my dorm. It was a breakthrough, a system that could secure military communications against quantum attacks. I'd spent a year on it, coding through nights, my fingers cramped from typing, my desk buried in energy drink cans. When they called my name for the Innovation Award, pride surged through me, pure and electric. My father, a rising exec at a defense contractor, was invited to speak. I thought he'd celebrate me. I was wrong. He stepped to the podium, his suit pristine, his voice commanding. He spoke about teamwork, about the future of tech. Then he pointed to my older sister Claire in the audience. She'd done nothing but help me format a presentation slide the night before. Sarah's success, he said, his cone dripping with fake warmth, owes everything to Claire's leadership and vision. The crowd clapped, cheering for a lie. Claire beamed, soaking in unearned glory. I stood there, clutching my award, invisible. He'd erased me, handed my work to his favorite daughter. Afterward, Claire hugged me, grinning. "We did it, sis," she said, oblivious to the theft. She'd grown used to taking credit for my ideas, raised to believe it was her right. My father had taught her that. The betrayal cut deep, but the real wound was her ignorance. She didn't even see it. That night, in my hotel room, my uncle Stephen, a retired software engineer, knocked on the door. He'd driven from Sacramento to support me. He didn't say much, just sat beside me looking at my code on my laptop. "They can clap for a story," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "But code doesn't lie. You wrote the truth, Sarah." His words didn't erase the pain, but they built a quiet strength inside me, a reminder my worth wasn't tied to their applause. That strength carried me when I left Mitchell Dynamics. I poured every dollar I'd saved into a tiny office in Oakland, a concrete box with flickering lights and the smell of burnt coffee. I called it Station 9. It was my refuge, my battlefield. I took any job, patching firewalls for startups, debugging code for local banks, fixing servers older than me. The work was grueling, honest. Men would walk in, see a blonde woman with tired eyes, and doubt me. One client, a burly warehouse owner, tossed his laptop on my desk. "Fix it, or I'm not paying," he grunted. I didn't argue. I worked 10 hours straight, my hands shaking from caffeine, my screen glowing with error logs. When I handed it back, the system ran smoother than it had in years. He stared at me, then at the laptop, and paid in cash without a word. Respect, hard-earned. One night, after wrestling with a client's ransomware attack, I sat on the floor, a cold soda in hand, checking emails. One stood out from Claire. Subject, big news. She'd been promoted to marketing director at Mitchell Dynamics, bragging about a new data sharing initiative. I recognized it instantly. I'd pitched it to her over coffee years ago when she was flunking her MBA. She'd taken my idea, polished it, and sold it as hers. The soda tasted bitter, mixing with the familiar sting of injustice. I deleted the email, stood up, and turned to a side project, an old server I'd bought at a surplus sale, deemed unfixable. I worked through the night, not for money, but for me. I listened to the hum of its drives, feeling the code's rhythm. By dawn, I found the issue, a tiny glitch in the kernel, invisible to standard diagnostics. I patched it, and the server hummed to life, steady and strong. My victory, silent but real. That win spread through Oakland's tech scene. Whispers of my skill traveled fast. A year later, an email arrived, encrypted, no sender name. "We have a security issue. We need your expertise. Discretion required. A car will pick you up tomorrow at 8. My instincts screamed caution, but curiosity won. I replied, confirmed. At exactly 8 o'clock, a black SUV pulled up outside Station 9, silent as a shadow. It drove me to a nondescript office park in Fremont, cameras hidden in the eaves. Laura Bennett greeted me, her handshake firm, her eyes sharp. She led me to a lab where a server bank sat, its lights blinking erratically. "It's the Sentinel system," she said. "They say it's dead. What do you see?" I didn't just look at the logs. I listened to the machine, felt its pulse. For 2 days, I lived in that lab, tracing code, chasing anomalies. It wasn't broken. It was out of sync, a microsecond delay in the encryption cycle. I sketched a patch, handed it to Laura. She didn't interrupt, just nodded. "You're not just a coder," she said. You're speaking its language. Then she slid a contract across the table. 3 years ago, Mitchell Dynamics lost an asset, you. I've seen your original Sentinel designs. They don't match the official logs. Your talent deserves respect, not blame. Her words hit like a lifeline. I didn't cry, but I felt something shift inside. She offered me a chance to return, not as Robert's daughter, but as the best cybersecurity expert she knew. Stepping back into Mitchell Dynamics felt like walking into a trap, but I was ready. The war room waited, and this time I'd bring the fight. Returning to Mitchell Dynamics felt like stepping into a lion's den with my father's shadow looming over me. The Silicon Valley office buzzed with tension, every glance from my former team laced with suspicion. I was a consultant now, brought back by Dr. Laura Bennett to fix the Sentinel system's catastrophic breach. But the air carried an unspoken message. I wasn't welcome. My father, Robert Mitchell, didn't need to say it. His cold stare did the talking. He couldn't block a federal directive, but he'd make sure I felt his displeasure. The first briefing was his opening shot. I stood before the tech team, ready to present my initial theory, a subtle timing glitch in the encryption cycle, undetectable by standard diagnostics. I'd barely started when Thomas Harper, my father's loyal chief tech officer, cut me off. "With all due respect, Miss Mitchell," he said, his voice dripping with condescension, emphasizing "miss" to strip away my expertise. "Your little hunches might work in your garage, but we rely on data here." He smirked, playing to the room. The team stared at their laptops, avoiding my eyes. The silence was deafening, a public dismissal orchestrated by my father's playbook. I didn't flinch. "The data's not wrong, Harper," I said, my voice steady, cutting through the quiet. "You're just asking it the wrong questions. You're chasing errors when you should be listening for a skipped beat." His smirk faltered, but the damage was done. The room felt like a battlefield, and I was alone. That night, in my temporary office, a sterile cube with a flickering light, my phone rang. Blocked number. I knew it was him. My father's voice came through, calm, patronizing, like he was scolding a child. "Sarah, you're stirring up trouble with Harper's team. You're digging into things settled years ago. It's disruptive. You're just a consultant. Stay in your lane." A cold knot twisted in my stomach. He was boxing me in, rewriting my role. "My lane," I replied, my voice icy, "is the truth. I designed Sentinel from scratch. I know it was tampered with." There was a pause, heavy with his unspoken anger. When he spoke again, his tone was steel. "I improved it," he said. "Your design was reckless, untested. I made it stable. Don't make this worse with your arrogance." It was a lie, a masterclass in manipulation. He wasn't a savior. He was a saboteur, framing me as the problem. Before I could process his words, my phone rang again. It was my mother. No greeting, just tears, hysterical, practiced. "Sarah, why are you doing this?" she sobbed. "Your father's under so much pressure. His reputation, our family's name. How could you risk it all for your ego? Think about Claire, her career." Her words were sharp, each one aimed at my guilt. She twisted my fight for truth into a selfish tantrum, weaponizing family loyalty against me. My mother wasn't the storm. She was the quiet poison that let it spread. "Mom," I said, my voice steady, surprising even me. "The family's name was ruined 3 years ago when no one stood up for me. I'm done stepping back." I hung up, my hand trembling with a rage so pure it felt like fire. Sleep didn't come that night. The anger didn't fade. It hardened into purpose. I wasn't just fighting for my reputation. I was fighting for the truth. My word against a CEO's wasn't enough. I needed evidence, cold and undeniable. In the pre-dawn darkness, I sat at my secure terminal, the green glow of the screen lighting my face. I wasn't Sarah, the consultant, or Sarah, the daughter. I was a hunter. Drawing on skills from my early days in penetration testing, I slipped into the company's network, not with force, but with precision, mimicking a low-level admin's access. I didn't touch classified files that would trigger alarms. I hunted in the shadows, old logs, archived configs, forgotten data caches. Hours passed, my heart pounding with adrenaline. Then I found it, buried in an obscure folder labeled Q3 Maintenance Backups, a log of changes to Sentinel's core encryption protocol. My original design, a layered, adaptive system, had been gutted, replaced with a brittle, single-point failure model. The authorization signature stopped my breath. Robert Mitchell, 2:17 a.m., the night before the breach. He'd done it himself, alone, in secret. My hand covered my mouth, stifling a gasp. This wasn't a mistake. It was sabotage. The rage fueled me. I dug deeper, chasing data fragments tied to that timestamp. Then I found the smoking gun, a scanned memo on company letterhead in my father's sharp handwriting. Protocol simplified per recommendation of Thomas Harper for efficiency, RM. A lie. Harper wasn't skilled enough to suggest such a reckless change. It violated basic cybersecurity principles. My father had crafted a false trail, pinning the blame on his protege to protect himself. He'd built my professional grave and signed Harper's name on it. The betrayal burned, but I wasn't done. A search through public company records revealed a final blow, a press release from the day after my resignation announcing a gala hosted by Robert Mitchell to celebrate the streamlined Sentinel rollout. He toasted to his victory while my career lay in ruins. I sat back, my breath shallow, the weight of his deception crushing. But then, a voice cut through the silence. My Uncle Stephen's from years ago. Code doesn't lie, Sarah. I leaned forward, copying every file, logs, memos, the gala invite, onto an encrypted flash drive. It felt heavy, not with data, but with truth. The next morning, a soft knock broke my focus. Kevin Walsh, a young data analyst from Harper's team, stood in the doorway, his eyes darting nervously. He was a quiet kid, always hunched over his laptop in meetings, avoiding attention. "Miss Mitchell," he whispered, still using my old title, a small, unintended sign of respect. "I know what happened 3 years ago. I was the intern who pulled the initial logs after the breach. I saw the original data before it was scrubbed." His voice shook, his hands clutching a USB drive. "This is my backup of the unedited logs from that day. I kept it. It felt wrong to let it go." I looked at him, his face pale with fear. He was risking everything, his job, his future. I took the drive, its plastic warm from his grip. "Thank you, Kevin," I said, keeping my voice calm to steady him. "You did the right thing." He nodded, almost running out the door. Now I had it all, the original truth and the fabricated lie. But files alone weren't enough. In a world of corporate politics, data could be dismissed as opinion. I needed more than evidence. I needed a stage. I found an empty conference room, its wall-sized whiteboard gleaming under the lights. I grabbed a marker, the cap snapping off with a sharp click. From memory, I drew Sentinel's original architecture. Every encryption layer, every failover loop, every line of code I'd written. My hand moved fast, steady, the black ink flowing like a declaration. This wasn't just a diagram. It was my truth, resurrected for all to see. I was showing them the system they'd destroyed, its elegance and strength undeniable. As I added the final line, a shadow crossed the board. Thomas Harper stood in the doorway, arms crossed, his sneer sharp. "Still doodling, Mitchell?" he mocked. Stick to fixing laptops. This is the real world. I didn't turn, didn't acknowledge him. I just signed the board. Sarah M. Mitchell, bold and unapologetic. The whiteboard wasn't just a tool, it was a challenge, a public accusation they couldn't ignore. I knew they'd have to answer it. The whiteboard stood like a silent accusation in the heart of Mitchell Dynamics Tech Bay. My recreation of Sentinel's original architecture, every encryption layer, every failover loop sprawled across it, a testament to what they destroyed. It was too bold, too undeniable to be ignored. Dr. Laura Bennett saw it during her morning walkthrough and called me into a private meeting. I handed her the encrypted flash drive, its weight heavy with logs, memos, and the truth. 10 minutes later, she scheduled an emergency system review for that afternoon. My father, Robert Mitchell, couldn't refuse her authority, but he was a master of turning traps into opportunities. He framed the review as a showcase of Sentinel's strength, inviting a select group of defense investors to witness what he thought would be my final failure. He was wrong. The simulation room felt like a gladiator arena. Engineers stood rigid at their stations, avoiding my gaze. Investors lined the back wall, their faces sharp with anticipation, pens poised over notebooks. My father and Thomas Harper stood at the center, radiating confidence. They thought this was my execution. Harper shot me a smug glance, his lips curling. My father's eyes were cold, certain of his victory. "Run the current configuration," he ordered, his voice booming. The lead engineer tapped the console, launching the compromised Sentinel system my father had altered. The main screen flared to life, showing a 3D model of the network. Data streams flowed, metrics climbed. For a moment, it looked stable. Then amber alerts flickered, numbers turned red. The system groaned, a digital wail. At 90 seconds, a crimson warning flashed, critical failure, network breach imminent. Harper slammed the emergency stop, his face a mask of rehearsed competence. He turned to the investors. "As you see," he said smoothly, "the original design had inherent flaws. We're working to stabilize it." My father nodded, his expression grave, cementing the lie. They were blaming me, rewriting history in front of everyone. Then Dr. Bennett spoke, her voice calm but cutting. "Thank you, Mr. Harper. Now, run the simulation with Miss Mitchell's original configuration." She used my name, not my title, but it carried weight. Harper's smirk twitched as he took my flash drive, plugging it into the console. "Let's see your magic trick," he whispered, "just for me." The simulation restarted. The system bucked wildly, unaccustomed to my layered protocols. Alarms screamed, red lights flashing across every screen. Investors murmured, exchanging glances. Harper's eyes gleamed with triumph. He thought I'd failed, but I was calm. This chaos was expected, the system resisting change. "Pause simulation," I said, my voice clear, steady. The room froze. I stepped to the main console, ignoring Harper's stare, and entered 3 precise overrides: encryption timing, data routing, and load balancing. I didn't need the screens. I felt the system's rhythm, its pulse. I was in my element, speaking its language. "Resume simulation," I said. The room held its breath. The alarms quieted one by one. Red lights shifted to amber, then green. The system's chaotic stutter smoothed into a steady, powerful hum. The simulation clock ticked past 90 seconds, then 120, 180, 300. A full cycle, flawless, exceeding efficiency projections by 8%. The room was silent, the only sound the clean hum of the digital network. Investors lowered their pens, their faces shifting from skepticism to awe. They turned to my father and Harper, who stood frozen. Harper's mouth hung open, his confidence drained. My father's face was a mask of shock. his eyes burning with rage. His empire of lies had crumbled under the weight of my truth. The aftermath was swift. The investors, meant to witness my humiliation, instead reported a corporate scandal. Headlines erupted across tech blogs. Mitchell Dynamics sabotaged own system. Within days, the board launched an investigation. Harper was fired for incompetence, his career in ruins. My father was suspended, his 40-year legacy unraveling. I expected triumph, but I felt only exhaustion, a hollow quiet where victory should have been. Back at Station 9, my Oakland office, I was elbow deep in a server repair when my phone rang. It was Claire, my sister. For a fleeting moment, I hoped she'd ask if I was okay. Instead, her voice was venom. "You destroyed him, Sarah. You ruined Dad, our family's name, all for your ego." She screamed about her own career, her connections tied to him. I listened, silent, as she blamed me for his actions. When she paused, gasping, I spoke, my voice eerily calm. "You never asked how I felt, Claire. Not 3 years ago, not now. Goodbye." I hung up and blocked her number. The last tie to my family snapped, leaving only quiet. Days later, my father's car pulled up outside Station 9, kicking up dust. He stepped out, no suit, just a tired old man in slacks. He looked smaller, his face lined with defeat. "Sarah," he started, his voice rough, "I was protecting you. Your design was too risky. I didn't mean for it to go this far." The same lies, repackaged. I raised a hand, grease-stained from work, stopping him. "Don't," I said, my voice unyielding. "You didn't protect me. You protected your control, your legacy." He opened his mouth, then closed it, silenced by the truth. I slipped off the silver company ring he'd given me when I joined Mitchell Dynamics, a symbol of his world. I pressed it into his palm. "I don't need your legacy," I said. "I'm building my own, with truth." I turned, walked into my office, and slid the door shut. The clang echoed, final. A year later, Station 9 wasn't just my refuge, it was a mission. I'd bought the next unit, expanded, and founded the Aunt Ellen Project, a nonprofit teaching cybersecurity to Juneau female veterans. Every morning, the space filled with voices, laughter, and the click of keyboards. I didn't teach code from books. I taught them to trust their instincts, to hear the system speak. One afternoon, I helped a young veteran debug a firewall, her frustration palpable. I handed her a worn USB drive from Uncle Steven's old kit. "Don't force it," I said. "Listen to what it's telling you." Her eyes lit up as she found the glitch, a spark of understanding. That was my legacy, passing on truth, not titles. As the dust settled at Mitchell Dynamics, I didn't feel the victory I'd imagined. The headlines screamed of scandal, my father's suspension, Harper's firing. But there was no thrill, just a quiet void, like the hum after a server shuts down. I returned to Station 9, my Oakland office, to find peace in the familiar clatter of keyboards and the smell of fresh coffee. I was rebuilding, not just systems, but myself. One evening, as I debugged a client's firewall, a car pulled up outside, tires crunching gravel. My father stepped out. No suit, just a worn jacket and slacks. Robert Mitchell, the untouchable CEO, looked small, his face etched with lines I hadn't noticed before. He didn't knock, just stood in the doorway, his shadow long across the concrete floor. "Sarah," he said, voice low, almost broken. "I was trying to protect the company. Your design, it was too bold, too risky. I never meant to hurt you." His words were a tired script, the same lies dressed up in regret. I set down my screwdriver, my hands steady, grease-stained. "Don't," I said, my voice calm, final. "You didn't protect me. You protected your power, your name." His eyes flickered, searching for an argument, but he found none. I reached for the silver company ring on my finger, a relic from my first day at Mitchell Dynamics when I'd believed in his vision. It felt heavy, a chain to his world. I pulled it off, the skin beneath pale, and pressed it into his hand. "I'm done with your legacy," I said. "Mine starts here, built on truth." He stared at the ring, silent, then turned and left. I slid the office door shut, its clang echoing like a full stop. For the first time in 35 years, I was free. Freedom wasn't loud or bright. It was a quiet space, empty of my father's expectations, Claire's entitlement, my mother's guilt. At first, it scared me. No battles to fight, no lies to disprove. But I learned to fill it. Station 9 grew. I bought the next unit, knocked down walls, and turned it into the Aunt Ellen Project, a nonprofit training female veterans in cybersecurity. The office buzzed with life, laughter, clicking keys, the hum of servers. I taught them to trust their hands, to hear a system's rhythm, to know their worth wasn't tied to titles or approval. One afternoon, I watched a young veteran wrestle with a network config, her brow furrowed. I handed her Uncle Steven's old USB drive, its edges worn smooth. "Don't fight it," I said softly. "Ask what it needs." She paused, then smiled as the code clicked into place. Her eyes lit up, a spark of confidence I recognized. That moment, her victory, my purpose, was my legacy, not some corporate empire. A letter arrived months later, sealed with the Department of Defense logo. Dr. Laura Bennett's handwriting filled the page. My role in exposing the Sentinel breach had been acknowledged. They offered me a lead position in a new cybersecurity division. "We need people like you, Sarah," she wrote, "who speak truth no matter the cost." I smiled, folded the letter, and tucked it into a box with Uncle Steven's tools. It was closure, not my future. I'd already found that. As the sun sank over Silicon Valley, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, I sat on a stool outside Station 9. The desert wind carried a faint hum of traffic, but it felt like music. A year ago, this quiet would have been loneliness. Now it was peace. I'd walked through betrayal, faced my father's lies, and built something real. I am Sarah Mitchell, coder, teacher, survivor. The wind whispered through the open doors, and it sounded like my own symphony.